Hey everyone, it's Jamie from Independent Street NOLA, and I'm here to talk about the new moon on April 1st, April Fool's Day. It will be at 1:25 a.m. That's Central Standard Time. So actually, if you're on the West Coast, you're going to have this new moon on March 31st. And it is the Aries New Moon, and this is the new moon, the very first moon of the new lunar cycle, and it's the very first moon of our zodiac new year. So this is a big moon. I know I say that with all the moons, but this is a big moon, and it was very interesting figuring out how to talk about this moon, and I kind of just got a lot of information this morning. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it on there, or record this video now as opposed to later in the day. I've been looking at the chart, and so let's get into the nuts and bolts. Okay, so as we both know, or as we all know, when it's a new moon, the sun and the moon are together. And this new moon, the sun and the moon have come together in the sign of Aries, and they are at 11 degrees of Aries. And what's interesting about this, and just side note, if you guys do have your birth chart, you can always go to see where 11 degrees of Aries is in your birth chart, what house it's in, and then, they say this is where you can set some new initiations, or this is going to be affecting that part of your chart the most. I don't know if I 100% agree with that. It's not that I think it's wrong. I think it's right. I don't think anything's wrong, quite honestly. That's probably why my life's the way it is. That's the story for another time. At the same time, if you don't know your birth chart, you're not missing out on anything, right? Or if you don't want to go look at the birth chart, you're not missing out on anything. These energies are the energies. Also, it's important to remember we are in the age of Aquarius, so the way people interpret them is going to be the way they interpret them. The way you interpret it is the way you would do it, and that's the most important thing. And once again, if I'm talking stuff and it doesn't resonate, it doesn't resonate. If you see someone else and they're talking something and it resonates, then it resonates. Just go with that. Okay, we're out of that time where it's one size fits all, and if it doesn't fit you, then you have to change yourself to make it fit. We're done with that energy. So all of this is coming in, right, for this Aries new moon. We're setting these new intentions. These new moons are, it's the void, it's the dark. But it's not only time to set new intentions, but it's also time to allow things to transmute. I was talking to my friend Helen, and we kept talking about just still getting rid of a lot of this old Pisces energy, and I feel like that is going to be the theme for the rest of this month. Jupiter and Neptune are conjunct this month in a few weeks, and that's a one-in-a-lifetime conjunction, so that is huge. That is a portal. Neptune rules Pisces, so I'm kind of doing what I didn't want to do, which was kind of float all over the place, but that's what we're doing. So at the same time, I set the intention to talk about this Aries new moon in order to transmute a lot of old energy and to bring in a lot of new energy. So, okay. So coming back around, what's important to know about this Aries new moon, as I was saying, yes, new moons are about setting intentions. It's also about allowing things to transmute, because it's in that dark of the moon. It's in that void, and that's where things, come together, but also release all at the same time. What's also interesting about this new moon is at 12 degrees of Aries is Chiron, and at 9 degrees of Aries is Mercury. So this Aries new moon, the sun and the moon are sandwiched between Chiron and Mercury, which is a great place for them to be. And once again, Chiron is a huge energy in this new moon, right? And Chiron, as we know him, is the wounded healer. He the mythology of Chiron, he's the centaur, right? He's Sagittarius. He's a centaur, and he was a master healer. He knew all the herbs. So if someone got sick, he could heal them. And then his star student, whom I believe was Achilles, I'm not 100%, but I believe it was, shot him with an arrow. And the only reason he didn't die was because he knew how to heal himself. And so when we used to talk about Chiron, the wounded healer, we would just see him as this limping centaur through the galaxy, right? Carrying this wound that will never heal. And it was just so tragic because his most beloved student almost killed him. And it's so Age of Pisces, right? And so I always laugh, like, whenever Chiron was at the party, like no one wanted to talk to him, they would just like wave from afar because no one wanted to hear the story again about how Achilles shot him in the leg and he almost died, right? But now we read Chiron totally different. We read him as healed, as he healed his wound. We see him as the master healer that he is. He got shot in the ass, the leg, but he was able to heal himself. And now he's strong. Like, he has that wound, he healed it, he's still healing, right? Not necessarily healing that wound, but he's still healing other people. And so that is the difference between really the age of Pisces. Well, one of the main differences between the age of Pisces and this age of Aquarius. When we talk about Chiron, the wounded healer, we talk about the fact that he was able to heal his wound and keep moving. And that's where we are with ourselves as society. Those wounds that we thought would end us or were embarrassing or we couldn't move past, we're taking this cue from Chiron that we are more than that wound. It's been healed. It's time to move forward. And I say this with authority, but I also say it gently, you know, like, because I know we're all doing the work, right? I know that we are healing, and I know that I'm so proud of you guys, right? Because I'm proud of myself and all the stuff I've accomplished too, right? So I know we're moving forward, and I know when these wounds come up, we keep healing them, but we do see where we're stronger in that situation, or it doesn't affect us anymore. And what's interesting, where this Chiron is at 12 degrees of Aries, Chiron was at 12 degrees of Aries last June and July. So it's important to see if something from that time has surfaced again, and if it has, how is it affecting you? Have you healed it? How do you feel about it? I know something came up for me, and I was just like, whoa, I am a totally different person than I was a year ago. And it was real refreshing, you know, it was. Because I know, like in my day-to-day, I see things where things are, you know, bebopping along. And then I also see some things that are still like quote unquote challenge. But when this came back around, I was like, holy shit. Bravo, James. Bravo. You're getting it done. So I hope you guys are also seeing these huge energetic shifts where you are getting it done and where you are when you have moved along. The other important thing to note about this new moon is where Mars is, because Mars rules Aries. And Aries, in its highest self, is courage. Okay, and so it's important to start seeing ourselves as being, having courage to be ourselves, our cardinal selves, that cardinal fire. Aries is the root chakra. It's time to ground in this courage, right? And what's interesting about this was before, when I would talk about Aries and ruled by Mars, it was just a fucking shit show, right? But now Mars has matured. Mars has been, from years ago, right? A couple years ago, 2018, 2019. Mars, I'm pretty sure, was getting hammered by Uranus. And so Mars has matured. Mars is different. Mars is the divine masculine, in that divine masculine energy. He's not in that lower Aries energy anymore. And so where Mars is right now is still in Aquarius, right? And we're in the age of Aquarius. And right next to him is Saturn. And then on the other side of Saturn is Venus. So Mars and Venus, I think, are only about 6 degrees apart. So we're still realizing and learning, to me, this is how I'm interpreting all these signs and symbols, what it is to be moving forward, balanced with our masculine and divine masculine and feminine selves. What that looks like moving forward. How do we have courage in that? And then Saturn is there allowing us to start feeling stable in this new energy. And this is probably going to be, the theme for the whole year almost, because of this being the first moon in Aries and the first moon of the new lunar cycle. Also with Venus. Venus is not going anywhere, cats and kittens. She's here. And so it was really interesting when I was thinking about Aries and kind of meditating on Aries in this new moon, to see him not being impulsive, to see him, grounded, to see Aries having courage in who he is now, having courage in feeling the way that, I'm healed. Having courage and saying, how can I move forward being balanced? And just this deep sense of knowing who he is now. So to me, that is the theme of this new moon in Aries. And I know, like, usually when we talk about new moons, it's about planting seeds. So I guess if we start planting the seeds of courage, but I also think it's really important, because Chiron's such a big player here, to start just allowing, just like surrendering to the idea over, just keep getting used to this idea that we are healed. We are going to keep healing, but we are healed. What does things look like? What would the energy be like coming from a healed place? What does that start to look like? Because the idea of quote unquote self-sabotage is that we get uncomfortable. We like to be comfortable, so we move back, right, into what we're comfortable with. And let's face it, we don't know as a society and as humans what it's like to live as a healed whole person, right? And that's nothing to be like sad about. It's just is what it is, right? So with that, know you are healing, and know that we are figuring out what it means to just live healed and healing, and having this balanced energy of masculine and feminine within ourselves, right? Because it is the age of Aquarius. It's about us as the individual, and then our communities. So this is a big new moon. I know I say that all the time, but it is, because it's really setting that groundwork. Aries is that root chakra. It's really grounding it in, that we can have courage to be exactly who we are as individuals. And also, it was this idea of existential courage, or courage existential courage. I don't know what that means. I think that's just a good writing prompt. I think whatever it means to you, write it down, and maybe ruminate on that for the next couple days, right, with this new moon, or go back to it throughout the year. Maybe that's what we can do. But maybe have a writing prompt, and then we go back to it throughout the year. But existential courage, what does that mean to you? What does that Aries fire mean when we start having existential courage? Does that make sense? Because I think it's really important for us as individuals to start figuring out what it means to us, instead of having someone tell us what it means. And I know, I get it. Like, we're discussing this, I get it. So I think I'm going to leave it right there. But you guys, start planting those seeds of surrender to the higher energy of Aries, which is courage. Allow those tribulations to be buried, and light them on fire, you guys. And start grounding in this idea that we can be balanced. We are balanced. We are healed. We are healing. And that stability is here. We just have to get used to seeing it and feeling it and allowing it. So I hope everyone has a great new moon weekend. Happy, April Fool's Day. I just also want to give a shout out to my neighbor Dawn for my new do. She nailed it. She killed it. I'll put her information on my Instagram, and it'll show up probably other places too. So of course, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Enjoy this new moon. Really start to meditate in this. It's almost like a quiet fire of Aries It's not the impulsive, selfish, lower energy of Aries. He's here to really move us forward. And I think what's most interesting about that, about that is that this is a masculine sign, but the idea that he's just here waiting, not like, kind of waiting, waiting to receive, and receiving that feminine side, it's very interesting. It's so powerful. So let's start getting into this groove of, giving and receiving, giving and receiving. That's that masculine and feminine. And then we're going to know when to go because we know when to go because we know how to receive. Okay, I'll end it there. All right, thanks, guys.